Hi, everyone. Welcome to Dean's Chat, where we discuss all things podiatric medicine. My name is Dr. Jeffrey Jensen. I'm the Dean at the Arizona College of Podiatric Medicine, and I'm the host of the Dean's Chat podcast. We are continuing our special episodes highlighting students from the 11 schools and colleges of podiatric medicine. This week, I'm joined by 3 students from the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley School of Podiatric Medicine. And for the rest of the discussion, we're going to call it UTRGV. How's that sound? All right. All 3 of my guests today are members of the American Podiatric Medical Students Association, and I wanted to introduce each of you individually. First, representing the class of 2026, Madeleine Mehaffey. Welcome, Madeleine.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. And Sharmin Bootwala, also in the class of 2026. Welcome, Sharmin.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And also from the class of 2026, Mr. Peter Elvin. Welcome, Peter.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. The reason that all of my guests are from the class of 2026 is because they're in the inaugural class at UTRGV, which is one of the new colleges of podiatric medicine. And I'm really excited to have you here on the show. And to get started, what I was hoping we could do is, Madeleine, if you could share with our listeners what podiatric medicine is.
Yeah, of course. So podiatric medicine is a branch of medicine that specializes on the both medical and surgical aspect of foot disorders. Foot and ankle.
Very good. And Sharmin, would you mind sharing with our audience the path to becoming a podiatric physician?
Yes, no, of course. So for you to be a pediatric doctor, so what you do is that you do 4 years of your undergrad. Then during that time, you can definitely take your MCAT either before graduate or after you graduate. Then you go into 4 years of podiatry school. Then after you graduate from podiatry school, you do 3 years of residency, and then you have an optional to do like a 1-year fellowship. So that's like the traditional pathway to be a pediatric physician.
Yep, traditional, a 4-4-3 model, if you will. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, what I'd like to find out is how each of you got to where you are today in your podiatric journey. Peter, if you don't mind sharing with us where you're from, where you did your undergraduate work, how you discovered podiatric medicine, and how you ended up at the UTRGV. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, like I said, or you said, my name is Peter Elvin. I was born and raised in Corpus Christi, Texas, which is a town in South Texas. I went to undergrad at a school called Southern Adventist University. It's in Chattanooga, Tennessee, small town outside of Tennessee. I did that. How I found podiatry, I'm probably not uncommon in that I didn't know what I really wanted to do. Like growing up, kind of grew up in a medical family, had some dentists, had some physician people, nurses, all that. And so I always wanted to go into healthcare. Always liked science growing up. So did the pre-med route in college, was set to go to a allopathic school in California. And then last minute just felt it wasn't right for me. So I was hanging out with my dad in the reading room and saw a cool foot case with a bunch of screws and stuff put in it. I'm like, oh, I want to do that. He says, oh, well, actually, this is a podiatrist, foot and ankle guy. So I thought that was going to be cool. And so I found some DPMs in my area, did some shadowing there. And then the UTRGV school popped up, oddly enough, right around the same time on TMD SAS. So I applied there, and then rest is history.
Oh, that's fantastic. So your father's a radiologist?
He is, yes.
Very good. And we'll come back. We'll circle around and talk about shadowing in a little bit, but sure. That's a great story, Peter, and not uncommon. So that's very good. Madeleine, would you share with us your podiatric journey to date?
Yeah, of course. Like Peter, I also did not know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do medical. So I grew up in a small town in Central Texas, Hamilton. That's like 3,000 people. There's not a podiatrist there, so I had no idea what a podiatrist even was. But I went to Tech for my undergrad, Texas Tech, and did the pre-med route, applied through TMD SAS to allopathic schools, got a few wait lists, and then the UTRGV school opened up, and I was like, perfect, because I grew up in a sports setting. I did so many sports growing up. I knew I wanted to work with the lower extremity, either as orthopedist, and then once I found podiatry as a podiatrist. So that's kind of how I ended up where I am.
Very good. Great story. And Sharmin, can you share your podiatric journey to date?
Yes, so I actually found out about podiatry at UTSA. There was like a health professions fair, and it was actually the Western actually came to San Antonio, and I was like, what is podiatry? I just came in, just wanted to just like talk and see where I wanted to go into. And the rep for Western was like, oh, have you heard about podiatry? At first I thought he said something else, which I was like, I don't know what podiatry is, but he talked to me about it. And he was like, oh, well, if you let me know, like, give me like your zip code and whatnot, I'll give you like 10 podiatrists that are in San Antonio. And that's where I'm from, San Antonio, Texas. And he was like, okay, well, here are the 10 podiatrists. Definitely call and see which will allow shadowing experience. So I did my shadowing during my senior year of college. I knew I wanted to go into podiatry, but I was still wanted to go into the MD or the DO route. And after I did my undergrad at UTSA, I did my master's at UTSA. In the back of my mind, I was like, why did I think of doing podiatry? So I applied the TMD SAS. I heard Podiatry School of Texas was open. I applied to that, and here I am.
Well, that's fantastic. So, it's interesting because I've heard the TMD SAS. That's a Texas application service for the health professions. Is that correct?
Yes.
So
Yes.
could one of you explain that to our audience? Because that's really interesting because it's unique to different application services in the country. And I think that's just a great service for students throughout Texas.
Yeah, I can explain that. So if you apply through like traditional medical school routes, I don't know if some of you know this, but Texas has their own separate application for medical schools. So to apply in Texas, you have to apply through TMD SAS. And since UTRGV is a state-funded school, unlike the other podiatry schools, our application is through TMD SAS as well. So it's kind of like a checkbox method. As you're applying to all the different medical schools, you get to apply to the pediatric medical school as well. So that's kind of how it works.
Well, that's kind of neat. Because if you apply to all the different schools, then do they reach out to you then and you find out whether or not you're waitlisted or accepted? Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's very good. That seems to be very efficient as opposed to the central application service that we use in the entire United States. So that's great that you were able to apply that way. Let's talk about the shadowing experience for a couple minutes. I know you've had opportunities to shadow, but when was that time in your shadowing experience where you said to yourself, I'm going to be a podiatrist? Peter.
Well, for me, I shadowed 3 or 4. I shadowed one up in Chattanooga where I was going to undergrad, and I shadowed I think 3 in Corpus in the hometown. I think for me, what it was talking to them, and they all seemed to love their job versus some of the MD-DO people that I was kind of hanging out with. It was pretty hit and miss. Some of them liked their job, some of them didn't like their job, but it seemed that podiatry offered a lot of flexibility. You can kind of pick and choose what you want to do and what you don't want to do. You could do a lot of surgery. You don't have to do a lot of surgery. They seem to spend a lot of time with their kids, spend a lot of time with the wife or the husband. And so for me, I think that was important. So I wanted to do that. And that's kind of why I thought podiatry would be a good fit for me.
Very good. And Sharmin, you had 10 different doctors that you were given names to. How was your shadowing experience?
Yeah, so out of all the doctors I'd reached out to, only one of them had responded back saying that, oh, if you want to shadow me over the summer, you absolutely can. So when I shadowed him, I liked how every single day it was a different case. It wasn't something you would see like all the time. It would be like the same patient or same problem. Every day was definitely like a different patient. And then one thing he had also talked about, kind of going off of Peter, we had said was, it's a good work-life balance. The podiatrist I shadowed, he would do all clinic Monday to Thursday, and then Friday would be like all surgery, and then Saturday, Sunday he could spend time with his family and kids, which is kind of the life that I would like to have. And so when I found that podiatry could also do that, it's something that I was also interested in doing.
Very good, thank you. And Madeleine, how about your shadowing experience?
I don't have as much podiatry shadowing experience as they do, but I did get to shadow Dr. Lacey Clausen in Abilene, Texas, and I really, really enjoyed getting to see what she did every day. She loved her job, kind of the same story as the other ones, great work-life balance. She worked with her husband at the clinic, and I really liked it and was like, yep, this is definitely for me.
Well, there are definitely some common themes here. One is work-life balance, of course. Another is that most podiatrists are very happy, like you said, because they get to tailor their practice to what they like to do. And I think another factor is when you go to podiatry school, you know what you're going to become from day one. Whether it's a surgeon, you're going to be surgically trained, but how much surgery is up to you. There's so many different facets. So that's great, and that's a very common story. So let's talk about the American Podiatric Medical Students Association. The three of you are leaders in your class. And how did you get involved in APMSA? And what are your responsibilities within APMSA? Sharmin.
Yes, so I think how I got into APMSA was when we started beginning of the year. It was definitely different for us getting into APMSA. They had told us that if you want to pursue a leadership opportunity, just let us know. So I had let the professors know that I'm interested in a leadership position. And then me getting chosen for APMSA, I felt like it was a very good fit for me. And so I'm just happy to be able to represent UTRGV through APMSA.
Oh, that's great. And then are you on a committee or anything? How are you representing UTRGV on a national level?
So I'm currently part of the Public Relations Committee. So APMSA has an Instagram, so definitely give us a follow at APMSA. And so I would always do little events here at UTRGV. So any events that we do here, I would post it on the APMSA, just letting everyone know, hey, we're doing at UTRGV. Besides studying, we would do different events, whether it be socials or have little workshops. It's just kind of spreading the word that UTRGV is here.
Okay, very good. And Peter, how did you get involved with APMSA?
Yeah, similar story. I wanted to do a leadership position. And so they kind of asked people in the class who would be interested. So I put my name down. In complete transparency, we didn't really know what we were all kind of signing up for because we don't have upperclassmen or anything. So, so we kind of just did the asking around and a couple of Google searches and stuff and went onto their website. And so I'm the class of 2026 delegate for UTRGV. And yeah, my duties are pretty much just to go to the meetings and bring back the information of what's happening on the student level in podiatry nationally and bring back to the class and keep them informed.
And so were all three of you in Nashville this summer?
Yes, we were all in Nashville.
Well, that's good. You probably met a lot of upperclassmen that are kind of giving you some guidance also then.
Oh, yeah. They're all very helpful. Yeah.
Well, I know. I've noticed it's a very tight-knit group at APMSA. That's great.
Yeah.
Madeleine, what's your experience to date and what are your responsibilities?
So I'm actually, I'm part of APMSA through the President's Committee. I am the student body president of our school. So that's how I'm involved. And through that committee, all the different presidents from all the different schools get together, compare, contrast, talk about things. So that's kind of my involvement. It's not a direct involvement through APMSA, but rather through the presidency.
Okay, very, very good. Well, I always say this, but I know our future of our profession's in good hands with leaders like you that are willing not only to take on the academic rigors of becoming a podiatric physician, but also to be a leader among the student body and a leader in the future. So I commend you, all three of you, for that. Let's shift gears a second. Let's talk about the educational experience at UTRGV. Now, you're the inaugural class, you're the first class to come in. UTRGV was the 10th school or college of podiatric medicine in the United States. And your dean is Dr. Javier LaFontaine, who's a good friend of mine. I've worked with Javier a lot over the years. What was it like coming into school last year and you were the only students on campus in the School of Podiatric Medicine? Peter.
Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking, to be honest. I mean, it's like buying like a new car or something like that, a new model that just came out. You don't know if there's anything to worry about or anything, but it was exciting. Just be groundbreaking, and we have an amazing faculty, and we have a good cohort of students that I think are pretty all like-minded, and we're all ready to succeed. So it's been great. Pretty exciting.
Very good. Madeleine, for you, what was that? What was it like? Was there some, for all of my students, there's some free-floating anxiety because it's a big effort before you. How did you feel going into UTRGV?
I was very, very anxious. I'm not gonna lie. Not knowing anything about where I was going, first off, I was really nervous to move to the Rio Grande Valley. I'd never been there before. I was worried because you read online like, oh, high crime rate, blah, blah, blah. But that's not for the part that we are in the Rio Grande Valley. So if you're interested in coming here, don't worry. None of our classmates have experienced any crime or anything like that. But once I got over that fear, everything from there on has been pretty smooth sailing. We've had to deal with some unclear policies and stuff like that in terms of just newness of the school. But I think both the students and faculty have worked together to make that transition very smooth. And I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish so far.
Well, you're certainly paving the way. Sharmin, what was your experience coming in?
Just kind of going off, it was very nerve-wracking having to move away from like San Antonio to Rio Grande Valley. I've never been to Rio Grande Valley. So like me moving away from home and then also starting a new program, being part of the first class, there was, as you had said, a lot of free-floating anxiety. But I think like once I was able to start podiatry school, work with the faculty, work with my classmates, it's been going pretty well since then.
Fantastic. So let's talk about the specific academics. So you all just finished your first year and you're very new into your second year. Tell us about your class, the class load, because one of the things we're doing is we're doing these shows so that when prospective students are looking at UTRGV, they get a feel for what they're getting into. So let's talk about that first year. Madeleine, what did the first semester look like for your class?
First semester, we started off, our very first class of the whole year was osteology of the foot. So we started off strong with some lower extremity anatomy. We moved into some biomechanics. We did basic sciences. We did an entry class so that everybody came in on the same level. Am I forgetting? I said biochemistry. We took that the first semester. Sharmin, am I forgetting anything?
No, we did our biochem. I think we also started like on our immunology. We also got started like microbio. We did that as well. And I think we ended our end of our first semester with those classes. Yeah, wow. It was a lot for the first semester, but we made it through.
Heavy load. Peter, what was the second semester like?
Second semester was, I think, maybe less like basic science kind of stuff, and it was more body systems. So I think this might be kind of unique to our school in terms of curriculum, but we go off of like a block system. So we don't take like histology traditionally and then pathology and all that stuff that maybe some of the other schools do. So you'll learn it by body system. So we did cardiovascular, I believe, respiratory, urinary system, and I think that was all the body systems that we did in second semester. And then we did biomechanics and lower extremity surgery class. We actually already started learning that stuff. So basic bunion procedures and hammer toe procedures and, learning to read x-rays, plain film, and stuff like that. So I think we're starting a little early compared to some other schools from who we've talked to at APMSA. So yeah, that was second semester.
No, that's great. Now you have a unique anatomy. You've got a computerized anatomy. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have the anatomage table.
Yes.
It's like a big iPad, if you will, that you can pull up. It's like I don't know if it was a person that designed the table, but it's like a live scan, not a live scan. It's a virtual cadaver of the person that started it. And you can, do sagittal cuts and you can do, all the different body planes. And it's pretty cool.
That's very cool. One of my favorite parts of interviewing students from the schools is talking about professor shout outs, because all the students have favorite professors and different professors bring different things to the classes. I'd love to hear who your favorite professors were and shout out to them. Sharmin.
No. So the first I want to give to is Dean LaFontaine. Like him being our dean for our program, I know he's definitely done a lot. I know he's done a lot to make sure our school was able to happen, to exist where it is. Him also working with like him and like Dr. Harkless, as we all know, he also did a lot to make sure our schools also here as well. During our year, we actually were voting on like faculty of the year. So we voted for Dr. Baghetti. She runs a research lab at UTRGV. She was actually like a dentist, and she has a PhD, and now she's like a professor, and she's very passionate on how she teaches. She goes above and beyond in her lectures. And then I also like to give a shout out to Dr. Hamilton. Dr. Hamilton's really cool. Every time he comes into the classroom, he's always very like positive and very like happy, and keeps us like energized during the class. So those are my shout outs for me.
Thank you. Madeleine, your professor shout outs.
Sharmin kind of took one of mine. Everyone she talked about was great, but Dr. Graham Hamilton, I really enjoy his classes. He teaches us more of the radiology / surgical classes for podiatry, so specific to podiatry. And I get really excited because that's what we're going to be doing. So it's easy to be excited for that professor, but he does a great job of making things simple and making sure we know what we need to know for boards and clinical experiences.
Fantastic. Peter, hopefully it didn't take all your shout outs away.
Not all of them, but yeah, no. Dr. Baghetti, I got to shout her out because she's my boss and my mentor for research. And so she's amazing. If I can be even half of what she is, I would call myself a success. And then her husband's awesome, Dr. Hogner. He's a plastic surgeon. They're both from Brazil. And he's just got this calm attitude about himself. And he's amazing when he's teaching us like clinical skills for OSCE, as well as like, suturing stuff. He's just got this calm presence and always encouraging us to do our best. So both of them, I think, are my biggest shout outs.
Very good. And so you've got a mentor for research. What are you working on research wise?
Oh, right now? Yeah. So I'm actually doing not a dual degree, but I'm pursuing my own path alongside the DPM with a PhD in UT Dallas in biomedical engineering.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So right now we're looking at kind of immunomodulation for titanium implants. So how the body interacts with the surfaces on titanium implants to help maybe better os integration in certain patients that have compromised immune systems like diabetes, like diabetic patients.
Very good. If you ever want a connection with some dual DPM PhDs, let me know. I know a couple of them that would
be great.
Be a good mentor too. Dr. Sessions works with us in Arizona, and Dr. Adam Landsman's up in Boston. So,
awesome. Yeah, thank you. I'll definitely hit you up for that.
Absolutely, anytime. So, all work and no play is no fun, and I know how hard it is with the academic rigors at the various schools and colleges of podiatric medicine. What does your class do together to have fun after exams before you start revving up for the next one? Sharmin.
Okay. So I think after we have like a stressful week, I think that what we do is that we tend to try like new food places. So I think like every Friday we would find like different like food places in Harlingen for us to go and just have it relaxed, just like, take a break from studying. I think that's like one thing that we also do. And Maddie, what else do we do?
We've went to South Padre Island a few times on Saturdays. We live 45 minutes at max from there, so it's fun to go take an afternoon to just relax every once in a while.
Good. And I'd like to ask each of you, what do you do to recharge the battery when you're not studying? Peter.
Well, I'm lucky enough that I only live like an hour and a half, 2 hours away from home. So on the weekends, I can always go home and hang out with the family or my girlfriend. And so that's always fun. But I like golfing. So I like to play some golf with my brother if I can. I've recently, with some of our friends in our class, played some pickleball recently. So that's super fun. But yeah, anything that you can just kind of wind down and, hang out with other people and get your mind off of school is what I like to try to do.
Absolutely. Sharmin, what do you do personally to recharge the battery?
So what I do is first thing I try not to look at my laptop or not look at my phone and be like, I had to do my Anki or do my flashcards or look at my PowerPoints. So what I do is I go work out. So I probably give myself like an hour break to be like, okay, let me work out, let me read a book, or just let me talk to my family, with San Antonio being 4 hours away. So that's kind of what I do to like recharge and just, take away from the stress of school.
Very good. And Madeleine, what do you do between exams to kick back and relax?
Just relax my mind. I like to not do anything sometimes and just give my body and mind a break. But I also like to play with my 2 dogs. I have 2 little puppies. Take them on walks, play with them. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. So I think the last question I have, 2 questions in one, I guess, is what would you tell a prospective student that's thinking about going into podiatric medicine? And what would you tell them specifically about UTRGV? Madeleine.
Well, I would tell them to go for it if they're interested, because it's probably been one of the best decisions I've made so far. And if they're interested in UTRGV specifically, just know that even though it is a new school, the faculty is doing the best that they possibly can to make us succeed. Everyone's really rooting for us, and they're making sure that every single one of our classmates is up to par with the curriculum, and they really care. So I think that's a big plus.
Good. Sharmin, what would you tell a prospective student thinking about podiatric medicine? And specifically, what would you tell them about UTRGV?
Yes, no. So I would say definitely go for podiatry. It's really great. You definitely have a good work-life balance. There's a lot of opportunity that you can do. It's not just like one thing. And then for UTRGV, kind of going up what Maddie says, saying, yes, we are a new school. We have our class, like the class of 2027, had also started. So they're doing great as well. And I know that like us and then the faculty, they're doing the best they can to make sure that the school is very successful, and they've been doing very well. And yeah, so definitely come apply and come to UTRGV.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Peter, what would you say to a prospective student contemplating podiatry and specifically about attending UTRGV?
Yeah, I would tell them absolutely to pursue it. I think there's a big stigma online that podiatry is very like a narrow field because it's just foot and ankle, but in reality, there's a ton of stuff that you can do within that field. So I would definitely say to, if that's something you're interested in, to pursue it. Specifically with UTRGV, since we're a new school, there's a lot of opportunity to start stuff. So you can start student interest groups and, national organizations, having a chapter at our school. So if you're interested in starting your own thing, kind of paving your own way, we got a rock star faculty that are willing to help you, as well as probably a ton of like-minded individuals that you'll have in your class to help you to achieve your goals.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank all 3 of you for taking time out of your busy schedules. Hopefully you found this to be less stressful, not really like studying. And I wanted to let each of you know that I'm going to be sending you a Dean's Chat cup for your caffeinated beverage of choice when late night studying and early mornings. I want to wish you the very best of luck. And I know the entire profession is very excited about UTRGV. And I know you've got just a fantastic dean and faculty. And again, I wish you the best of luck going forward. To all of our listeners out there, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast or Google Podcast, please give us a 5-star rating. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, click on the subscriber button. And until next week, cheers, everybody.